Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 6.87 patch lock analysis. This is part 2 of the analysis, and this particular part will deal with the heroes and all the nerfs and buffs that they got. Of course, I'm joined by Bballin. You might remember him from the past. Without further ado, how are you doing today?
I'm doing alright. I think this is like the first video I've been contributing to in like 2 years.
Me too.
But yeah, Dota's still fun, and this patch is pretty interesting. I'll talk about like some of the mechanics that I like at the end, because I know you've already done some of that, but heroes, that's always the major contention point. And I just want to say, like, I personally believe that I think we've gotten a little bit too power creepy, and I want to see more nerfs rather than buffs, but the mechanic changes allow for more buffs, and I think that's what IceFrog was hoping to do rather than more nerfs.
Right. So if you missed the items as well as the mechanics video, I will link it on the screen right now. You can watch the two parts independently, but I would prefer if you watch the item one first, because I might refer to some of the item changes as we talk about the heroes, because they are closely related. And of course, disclaimer, we haven't played all of these heroes, and this is kind of our first glance. And we will be skipping some heroes. For example, like Curse of Abaddon Slow got buffed. All right, great. I don't think really there's much to talk about, right?
No, like I'm an Abaddon player, and he's not that strong now that people have actually figured out how to lane against him, and he's not that good of an Iron Talon wielder. But this curse is going to be pretty negligible in how much it affects him.
Yeah. AA though, I do think that we should mention it, because yesterday we were testing this in client. You used to be able to blink away from cold feet upon cast, because it takes 1 second to deal its first tick of damage. Now, it takes 0.8 seconds to deal with first tick damage. Now it takes damage immediately, so you can't blink away.
Yeah, I'm not an AA player, so I don't know how much this interaction actually works, because you usually want to be as far as possible. So
it's just like one of those random kills you'll pick up once in a while because of this. It's not going to prompt AA being picked heavily, at least in pro metagame. They'll pick it for Ice Blast.
Now you can smoke gank with AA, I guess. That's the main thing.
Although I do want to say the new scan might help you set up Ice Blasts. So you scan the jungle.
It's a pretty small area.
You scan the jungle, they're farming, and you just pew pew. Alright, so Arc Warden has a huge line of changes, as you can see here. The big thing that I want to mention is your Tempest Double. You used to be able to use your Tempest Double and use your Midas, use your Necrobook, and do all that stuff. Now your Tempest Double Illusions have its own cooldown for Midas and its own cooldown for Necrobook, so you can't just go mass spam. Also, the big thing is that items that drop on Tempest Double no longer works on Tempest Double. So your Divine Rapier, no good. Gem, no good. So for the most part, there's a lot of fair nerfs that the hero deserved, but I think those changes I talked about are the key ones.
Right. I think there's something else that I want to mention, besides Spark Wraith getting better, is that the cooldown for Magnetic Field is actually so low now. And that was pretty much the secondary ability besides the ultimate, which was perceived to be terrible. And I don't know if this really fixes it so much, because when you're pushing up high ground, people are going to be outside of your bubble anyway, and you don't really want to be inside the bubble. But now you have to get inside the bubble, and that's usually not going to be too good of a time. So I think our Warden still has to be tweaked a decent amount, because I can't really see this Magnetic Field cooldown of 20 seconds holding up.
Well, I mean, it's not just 20 cooldown, right? Because your Tempest Double will also drop another mag.
So 13 seconds of uptime, and then 7 seconds of downtime, and then another 6.5 seconds.
It's quietly one of the most broken spells in the entire game, Magnetic Field. So, thankfully, we don't see too much of this hero yet, because it's not really popularized from pro games. So pubs are not picking it as much, but there will be a day where Arc Wardens will be running rampant, and thankfully today's not the day. So Axe, we also tested this. It says counter Helix damage type change from physical to pure, and it does go through BKB. So right now Axe is the poster child of a BKB Slayer, because your Berserker's Call already goes through BKB, your counter Helix damage type also goes through BKB, and most importantly, one of the big item changes is Blade Mail. You can't BKB Blade Mail either, which Axe will get. So Axe used to be one of these heroes that can't scale to late game because that's how he works. Now I think he's quite fine late game because of mostly blade mail, but also
pretty much only because of blade mail, because he could always go through BKB. The physical damage helped a decent amount, but now
I would make the argument.
Mail,
I would make the argument that it dealing pure damage is much better than doing physical because the armor value of late game just creeps up, right, with Vlad's and AC being purchased.
Yeah, but usually you're only going to get 3 spins off maybe in a team fight, regardless. It is significant, but the blade mail thing is the biggest deal because now it reflects before the damage actually hits you. So it reflects for the full damage rather than the plus 30 armor bonus that you get, and that really did not synergize too well.
And you could even go to a further stretch and make the argument that the Centaur camp got a new small creep, so more procs in the jungle early game, huh?
That helps. Yeah. It actually does.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's a hard camp, and Axe can offlane.
So let's skip over Bane, not much to talk about. Beastmaster, a little bit of vision nerf. I still see a lot, so.
Yeah, I think it probably didn't go far enough, but Beastmaster seems like a really tricky hero to balance. And he's still very good. He's still pretty skill intensive for the most part, so.
I wonder the best way to balance a hero like Beastmaster is to actually balance the book itself? Or do you think that the correct way to balance him is to give him a different build? Because right now it's just a book build, right?
I mean, we've seen the past transitions of builds. We saw Aghanim's Scepter once in a while. We saw, like,
Link first.
Vlad's AC, stuff
DOT,
like that.
Yeah.
So I think Beastmaster has always been a really versatile hero. I think what I do is just decrease his armor by 1. And I'm not even trolling. I think that can make a huge difference.
Here's the thing, right? You get armor now next to your towers, so I don't think he really cares.
Maybe decrease it by 2. Next level. You're literally a useless hero.
Alright. Bloodseeker, new Aghanim Scepter. Grant 2 charges to rupture with 40 seconds to replenish. So you cannot rupture the same person twice. It won't deal the double damage. And your rupture cast will increase, your strength growth increase. I don't really see the reason to get the axe on this hero, but I am no Bloodseeker picker, so I don't know the ins and outs of this hero, but it seems bad.
Yeah, I mean, not every Aghanim Scepter upgrade is a out-of-the-ballpark upgrade. I can't really see this being viable, but it could be fun, just rupturing everybody. And Bloodseeker usually needs stats, even though he has, like, 1 spell for the most part to cast. So
when you say rupturing everybody, you mean just 2, right?
Yeah, just 2.
Just 2. And to me, already Rupture is one of those hit or miss spells, because sometimes they don't run, sometimes they're staying to fight you. And
I mean, he always sees play against Blinkers and Slugs and things like that.
Very good against
changes anything.
Things like Weaver and AM, but, you know. Alright, in any case, Bounty Hunter mana cost increase from 50 to 65. This is actually a fairly big nerf to Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, as a dirty Bounty Hunter picker, how do you feel about all this? Because now, I remember the tower True Sight radius got increased. There's more armor onto the tower.
Decreased.
The True Sight got decreased?
Yeah, it got decreased. No biggie. I think the big change, actually, for Bounty Hunter, to me, that got nerfed was your bounty runes don't give you the first 100 EXP, because one of your job as a bounty is to steal the rune from the other side. Sometimes you get away with it. And the other big thing is when you de-ward the Observer Ward, you don't get 100 EXP anymore. You only get 25. So, because when you get the perfect game going, you steal the bounty, you de-ward one of the observers, and you get Janata, like, before the creeps even hit each other. And you just go ham. I think those 2 changes are also big Bounty Hunter nerfs. And this one's a big one, too, because you spend the majority of your early game, windwalking around. And you get, like, at least 1 or 2 fewer windwalk because of this change. With that said, though, I think the early items will help. Like, sometimes I just rush boots ASAP, because you need to get to Arcanes and whatnot, but now you could get away with Windlace. I think Blightstone might be a thing on Bounty Hunter, especially the way that interacts with Janata quite well. I personally haven't tested these new items yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Also,
I can't really see Blightstone being picked up, because it's 300 gold. Wouldn't you rather have an Orb Venom to chase?
You start with the Orb, or at least my starting item build is Orb, Tango, and Sentries for de-warding. So that might change because how Sentry is not as effective anymore. The other thing is Infused Droplet. It does increase your mana regeneration by 0.85, which is fairly big. And I think all heroes got a passive 50 mana buff. Right, that's one of the mechanics changes. So that should help out Bounty a bit too. So I don't think Bounty Hunter is dead as a hero. It's just, I think we need to see a little bit of a difference of play.
Yeah, but the tower armor hurts him quite a bit.
Oh, it does.
One armor can make a huge difference.
It really, really does. But in any case, anything else to talk about with Bounty?
I mean, Bounty Hunters, just like, if you get off to a good start, he's super good. But if you don't get off to a good start, he becomes underwhelming very quickly. So I think he's in a pretty good spot. I mean, we'll have to see how it goes, but these seem like good enough nerfs to me.
No. One more thing to add is the Tome of Knowledge. Because you know how sometimes he has trouble hitting level 6, and the first one is available at 10 minutes, and that's generally when he hasn't hit level 6, and that will push him to level 6. So I think with Tome of Knowledge, he becomes still very, very good. Provided your team lets you buy the Tome, which most teams should let Bounty get it. So I actually, you know what? I might think he's better than before. Like, the hero is weaker, but the items actually help him. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. It could be.
Yeah. Alright, so Brewmaster getting a lot of change. We see a lot of these damage type changing to hero, and to me that's just kind of the quality of life. It just makes sense, all these numbers. Although the Earth Bruling now has Demolish. So you could push it a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I think what this does is that sometimes when you split as Brewmaster, and obviously you always split in fights and when you're going for kills, but it's a bit more difficult to transition, especially if you hadn't had the kills. So, you know, every bit helps, but this doesn't really change too much in my opinion. But, I mean, Brewmaster, he's like very slightly underplayed, I think. He seems like he's gonna be in a decent spot. I don't think this actually changes anything though.
So the problem a lot of times with Brewmaster is, like, he's a space controller, right? You blink in, you clap, and you do your stuff. And you basically drive the enemy team away from the tower that they're trying to defend, because it's really hard to fight Brewmaster when he splits. The problem that he then has is his team, maybe through the lack of a good draft, can't take down the tower quickly enough. The Brewmaster ult ends, the enemy team comes in, and then, you know, they fight you without your Brew ult. Now with the Demolish, you could say, in theory, not only do you drive them away, you could also take down the tower and get back in time. So, I actually think
it's better, but if you look at the numbers, he only gets like plus 15 damage on his level 1 ultimate to towers. So it goes from 30 to 45 damage.
It ain't great, but it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also comes down to, I think, we're going to see a resurgence of the more aura Brewmaster build, like your Vlads into your AC, maybe a Drums in there somewhere. And all of that aura will stack onto your Earth Bruling, so that will help you take down tower as well. And with the introduction of Blightstone, I really envision that like a support or a core picking one up early just to get that -2 armor on the buildings. So that might help you push too. I actually think that we're going to see a lot of Brewmaster, but I'm not sure we're going to see it soon, because I think a lot of these changes, it'll take a while before these pro teams catches us up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bristleback.
Yeah, I love playing Bristleback, and there's been a lot of these small tweaks like Kunkka have been getting, just small damage threshold reductions, things like that. Guags is actually so underwhelming, but the Bristleback damage threshold is pretty good. The problem with Bristleback is that he gets hard countered harder than any other hero in the game. Like, Silencer completely destroys him, Silver Edge completely destroys him, a lot of situational things, Axe, Legion Commander, they completely counter him. I don't think there's any other hero who gets harder countered than Bristleback.
Yeah, there's a new introduction of the, Hurricane Pike as an item to kite him. But I actually think that this patch gave him a couple of decent items that he will work well. We talked about how Blade Mail is very OP now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the new Abyssal Blade is very good as well because of the build-up. Bristleback is already a Vanguard builder. You build a Vanguard, and you stick on a Basher, and you upgrade to Abyssal. And suddenly, you know, he's very tanky. You can't really ignore him because he's stunning your whole team. So, I don't know. I think a Bristleback is also going to see a resurgence.
Yeah, I mean,
from the
items mostly, more than anything else. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. The Blade Mail is definitely the biggest thing, because the reduction doesn't take into account anymore. So that's quite strong. And that actually directly transitions into Centaur Warrunner, because I think in the last patch, Centaur Warrunner was probably like bottom 10 heroes in the game. He was completely trash. And these changes, they help a decent amount. Like the double edge cooldown helps him to a certain degree, but really it's Blade Mail again. Blade Mail is single-handedly gonna bring back heroes into the meta.
And take away some other heroes, right?
Yeah. And also, it could be an experiment because, alright, Blade Mail and Centaur or Bristleback could be good, but they could be better on other heroes. So maybe the other heroes, Centaur and Bristleback, they're gonna be pushed aside regardless. It's gonna be pretty interesting, I think.
So I'm a big Centaur fan, but here's my question to you. Like, why would you pick Centaur when you pick Slaughter?
No, you don't, because Centaur is garbage. He was, like, I love playing Centaur, but he kills himself. You have to get a blink. He has such a low mana pool. It's just really hard. He doesn't farm super fast. He can farm with double edge and stacks and an Iron Talon. Mm-hmm. But, even his scaling, like, you don't really build items to scale. You build items to live longer for the most part. Ags is even pretty underwhelming for the most part. Like, you have to use Ags in the middle of team fight. Usually,
Axe is actually very good in like certain situations. I remember using my ult when my teammate got Laguna bladed, and we just like laughed because it did like no damage. But those are fairly corner case scenarios. Yeah, double edge does a lot of damage, and that's where it has the edge over a Slaughter. Stampede for your whole team, that's great too. Just your blink timing is just terrible with this hero. To be fair though, I've never tried this with Iron Talon. Just skipping into the jungle with maybe a point into return. Maybe that pushes it over, but
it helps. But mostly it's you have your blink dagger and you double edge for a kill, and then you die, and then you blink dagger, you double edge into a kill, you die again because you're killing yourself at the same time. And it's sort of the same thing as Clockwork, because you get into the middle of a fight and then you're all by yourself and you die because you're either doing so much damage or your skill set, like Clockwork, sort of is built in a way that you're going to die first.
Okay, do you know if the double edge is magic damage to yourself? It is, right?
Yeah, you build pipe.
Alright, here's this. Infused raindrops.
Oh my god.
It blocks 100... I'm not even kidding. It blocks 120
I think it only activates if you take damage.
It says when you receive over 50 magic damage approx, consuming a charge and blocking 120 magic damage. So can you imagine you double edge and you take a bit, but you're a Centaur, you have HP. The actual droplet itself gives you plus 0.8 mana regeneration, which is not bad. Am I onto something here?
It's pretty good, but Centaur doesn't really farm that much, usually.
Yeah,
it could be good. I think you might be on something here.
The problem is it's hard to fit this in, especially like before your blink. But I could see you buying it after blink with your first gank. I don't know. I don't think it's terrible.
No, it's not terrible, but it doesn't really fix any of his problems.
It does fix the problem that you don't die as much.
Yeah, it could be good.
All right.
Mana regen's always good.
Okay, so Chen, a needed nerf, I guess.
Yeah, but I think he's still quite strong anyway. So
yeah.
But again, it's like all these tweaks. Like as these come in, he will get more and more dumpstered. But he's still really good right now, so I don't know why you wouldn't pick him.
Too hard to play in my pub games.
Yep.
All right, Clockwork, a couple of changes. Stop me if you want to talk about any of these. Crystal Maiden, now you get more mana regen for yourself. That's always the problem. Although I do want to say with the introduction of Windlace, these slower support heroes actually will see the day of light again, in my opinion. So, Crystal Maiden, I am...
Yeah, I mean, you see Crystal Maiden to a certain degree anyway.
Yeah.
I think the good thing about the last couple of patches is that pretty much every support has been viable for the most part, I think. Except for fringe cases, maybe Coddle, unless you're D-pushing a lot, things like that.
Except for Dazzle. Let's talk about Dazzle. You played him yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you actually rank up Poison Touch beyond the first?
You still won't after this. It's not good.
They've been pushing Poison Touch, like, for the last couple of patches, but, like, you pick Dazzle for a reason, right? You pick it for the heal, for the grave, for the ultimate, not for the Poison Touch.
I think Dazzle's still balanced. It's mostly the problem that he doesn't have a hard lockdown, and this doesn't really fix anything, but Yeah, I don't think he needs to be fixed. He's still decent enough.
He has a hard lockdown, level 4 poison touch. 1 second stun.
Hey, give Dazzle the tome. Get that level 14 ASAP.
Yeah, he's a great tome hero. I do want to say that I think he's one of the best supports to pick against a Void, a Faceless Void. Because in lane, a lot of supports, you throw a nuke at him and he just backtracks and laugh at you.
Oh no, he's definitely like one of the most kind of pickable supports. You pick him against Ember, so that when you're pushing high ground, you cast Weave on yourself. Sleight of Fist does much less damage.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, the cleave of the Sleight of Fist doesn't care. The actual sleight itself.
Right.
Yeah.
The actual Sleight of Fist.
But yeah,
but now he doesn't hard counter Axe anymore. Actually, he always got dumpstered by Axe because the Culling Blade goes through Grave, and now it's even worse.
I found that, I always thought that until I played an Axe into a good Dazzle player. Like, a lot of times you get Poison Touch, so you're slowed. When you're calling a whole bunch of creeps, you get a heal bombed onto you. So, I don't know. I think Dazzle's okay against Axe.
Well, now he's much worse because it's pure damage.
Yeah. Now it's, yeah. Any case, let's talk about DP. And DP got dumpstered hard. A lot of these I agree with, like especially Spirit Siphon going through magic immunity. Like, the funny thing is, like, you see a Lifestealer, right? Like, raging, trying to run away, and you're like, nope, you're just slowed. Blade Flurry trying to run away? Nope, you're just slowed. Repel trying to run away? Nope. And now, it's back to where it is. Magic spell getting countered by magic immunity. And
I mean, all these changes make sense. A non-ultimate ability that makes you immortal when you're ahead is needed to be changed.
Yeah, this ability was so OP that I was actually playing support DP. Just think about that for a second. Support DP, and I was just running at Juggernauts on the other side. It's like, yep, I'm siphoning you. Yeah, no longer.
Yeah, I think this will make her pretty much disappear in pro games, though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think the problem in pro games is that she's hard to catch up with, and this doesn't help because one of her big things was the vision and she's easier to gank now. You just run out of vision. Well, I guess it doesn't break, but, when you use BKB.
Yeah. Wind Lace and Infused Droplet, though. You just run fast and you tanky. What about that?
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if you'd get Infused Droplets on DP. Because
you might into one team fight. So yesterday I was in this game where I was playing support Lich because that hero's OP. And I noticed that the enemy Lina picked up Yule Scepter, so I just bought Infused Droplet, and this is like 20 minutes in the game, 25 minutes in the game. And then, lo and behold, the Lina dropped his combo on me, Infused Droplet. Doing things, So
yeah, some of these items, at first I thought some of the items were quite bad. I mean, when I first looked at it, I didn't think Wind Lace would be picked up too often. But now, looking back at it and hearing some stories, some of these items seem a little too good. This might push Dota into more of a late game versus late game fight. And I don't know if that's a good direction to be pushed in, but I guess we can talk about that at the end.
Yep. So, Disruptor getting a slight buff, that's great. Dragon Knight, a couple of changes. Gust cast point improved, that's good.
I mean, I just want to talk a little bit about Dragon Knight.
Sure.
If it wasn't for the range creep thing, which again, I'll talk about at the end.
Oh yeah.
This would make Dragon Knight like a very viable mid laner because 35% is a huge amount of reduction at level 1.
Mm-hmm. But what's wrong with the range creep thing? He could breathe fire into snipe it.
Yeah, but it won't insta-kill the range creep at level 1.
You can hit it once or twice. And then
but then you're gonna get hit like a couple times more.
Alright, we'll talk about the range creep a bit more later. Maybe when we get to Lich.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Drow Ranger, Gust cast point increase. She's always been a slower hero to me. This helps a bit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Drow really need to get buffed too much, but it helps. I mean, Drow is... In Drow lineup, she's ridiculously strong, and in non-Drow lineups, there really isn't any non-Drow lineup unless you put her in with 4 melees. So, yeah.
All right. Earth Spirit, Boulder Smash knockback speed reduced from 1200 to 900.
It's actually so slow right now.
That is a drastic change on the hero, and I mean, we both tested in the client. It's like, what the fuck is this? It's so slow. I was playing a lot of China pubs yesterday, and Earthshaker is still a very spam hero because it's good. But I had a teammate expressing the concerns like, I can't actually hit my boulder smash anymore. Like, now you actually have to aim. I mean, thank God, because this hero.
I mean, if you aim, you can still react to it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, before you see it coming and get stunned regardless. Now, you know, maybe you could activate a phase boot and run away. So, I think a much needed nerf. Do you think the hero is fair now? I still think that he's quite good.
I mean, I'm not an Earthshaker picker, but the tower thing, more armor, it's hard to dive. The speed hurts a lot. He's still quite good in team fights, but as a roaming support, I don't know if he can be used like that anymore. I mean, we haven't seen it just yet, but it seems like a lot of things are going against him as a roamer.
Yeah.
I mean, even the movement speed reduction is quite significant as well.
Yeah, that's the other big part. Windlace though, man. Windlace also a problem. That's gonna
but how are you gonna get the money to buy it when you can't hit your ganks?
Man, you leave the base with it, dude. It's only $225.
First item Windlace, second item boots.
There you go. At least that's how actually I've been buying my stuff. I don't even buy boots first, I buy Windlace. But that's just me. Alright, Earthshaker, we work Scepter. So I'm pretty sure you have seen a GIF of this somewhere. I guess I could look one up. Can you look? Yeah, I'll look one up. God damn it. Earthshaker 6.87 GIF.
Real life is too hard.
Here. I'll look up a YouTube video. Yeah, you jump. You jump when you enchant on them. So, you can make the argument that no Blink Dagger is necessary. You could jump into a clump and use your Echo Slam, but boom, there you go. So, as interesting and awesome and cool this looks, there was an interesting thread on Reddit yesterday. The pick rate of this hero drastically spiked up, and so did the lose rate of this hero drastically also spiked up. Awesome change just for the fun aspect of the game. And of course, very, very strong as well. Do you think we're going to see more core Shaker being picked, or are we going to see just still supports?
You're still going to see supports, but you could see more cores. I mean, now you can reinitiate after you use Echo in your abilities. You can get out, and you can get back in with the Enchant Totem. I think getting out is quite significant.
Yes. Well, that's a big part, right? Where you have the ability to weave in and out of the fight. Can you imagine somebody that has Aghanim's Blink and Force Staff? Like, you just do magic around the team fight when you could use it.
Yeah.
Well. And I think Enchant Totem has a very low cooldown, right? Like 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
So, yeah. I'm expecting some amazing plays. I think, was it Korok that used to play mid Shaker? I'm hoping more teams do this.
Yeah, Korok and Koikva, I think.
Yeah. So, any case. I mean, it's just an exciting change, but really not much to talk about beyond this. Elder Titan getting some love. Still, you know, nobody plays this hero.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard on a podcast with that Ali did that he thinks Earth Titan could be good, but that's pretty much all it is. He still could be good, but he's probably not going to be good.
I counter-picked him into a Doom. I played him as a safe lane support the other day. Doom Scorcher runs in, and I just, stop. And you have such a big AoE that Doom just has to respect it and back off. So it was just a very, corner case. That.
I mean, he got nerfed. Because if you're pushing with Elder Titan, you don't get that. You have the +1 armor to get into. That's not reduced by natural order.
Are we really going to be talking about +1 armor everywhere we go?
Well, it's +3 in some places.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Another hero that got hit very hard is the Enchantress. Impetus damage reduced and impetus max distance reduced. However, Hurricane Pike is an item in this patch. So, and I would make the argument that Infused Droplet is, this is probably one of the best heroes to pick up an Infused Droplet on. Because one of the few ways you actually kill Enchantress is to nukes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Infused Droplet is a thing that you have to go through. So, you can make the argument that Enchantress is maybe better.
She's not better.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Hurricane Pike.
3% is a lot. At level 16.
And the max distance, also too. But,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think you still go Dragonlance and Ags. I don't think you'll do Dragonlance, Hurricane Pike, then Ags. Maybe you'll go Hurricane Pike after the Ags.
Sure.
And then usually when you have Dragonlance Ags, well, the game's not really over.
Well, that's the problem with Enchantress in the past, right? Like, even if you have Ags as well as Dragonlance, some heroes just, like, blink onto you and gap close, and you just don't do anything at that point. I think the addition of Hurricane Pike allows you to reset the fight in a way that allows you to keep dishing out damage. So I actually think it's a huge addition. You might even finish Hurricane Pike before Aghanims, especially if there's, like, very, very annoying hero like Clockwork, for example. But I agree with your suggestion of, like...
Yeah, but also keep in mind that Hurricane Pike doesn't work if you don't have vision. And Enchantress isn't really... Well, yeah, I guess you can set preemptive creeps.
I mean, for the most part, you don't lose vision of the enemy hero.
True.
Yeah. I don't know. I think she's at an excellent place with Hurricane Pike as well as Infused Droplet.
I mean, she was overpowered in the last patch, and she's still pretty good.
Actually, you could even you could leave base with Boots and Windlace. Can you imagine that? You're over 400 MS at level 1, and you're just, like, running down Crystal Maiden? I don't know, man. Seems good with me. Hero's broken. Alright. Enigma. Okay. Faceless Void receiving quite a bit of change. Time Walk cast range increase, that surprised me a bit. But, you lost a point of cast point. Time Dilate cooldown reduced, slow rescale, Time Lock no longer...
No, cooldown increased on dilation.
Yes, sorry. And Scepter no longer increases Chronosphere duration. So, a whole bunch of Faceless nerfs. Thank goodness.
Yeah. I think Void's still pickable. Like, his skills are still quite strong. He's still useful. The Time Lock helps him more when you're farming, I guess, and when you don't have Chronosphere up. So it's still pretty good. I think he's still a pretty good hero. But these are definitely nerfs. What more can you say?
Yeah, I was thinking if any of the new items really change the way he's played, like...
I don't think he'll build the Echo Saber on Void.
No.
Maybe he will.
He's not exactly Echo Saber. Like, well, the thing is, would you go with the Vanguard Radiance build? Have you seen that on Void?
Yeah.
You actually can't build Abyss on him, right? Because of his bash time lock.
I think you can in Dota too, but I don't know if it's good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you already have a Chronosphere. Do you need more lockdown as Void?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm no dirty Void picker, but I'm happy to see him there because he was very, very good. I think he's still playable. So
yeah.
All right, rework Scepter, no longer global cooldown, which I'm actually very sad about.
They replaced a really bad upgrade with an almost as bad upgrade, maybe even worse.
I'm actually quite sold on this one. Let's read this.
This is really bad.
Adds a side gunner, fires an attack automatically at random to enemy units within 600 AoE every 1.4 seconds. Same firing rules as Rocket Barrage, which is fire while disabled, but not while hidden from the map. But does not attack while invisible and is disabled by break. And base damage reduced before. Alright, so you are an you're the Gyrocopter's Antichrist. Tell me why this sucks.
No, I mean, Gyrocopter's a good hero. This just isn't that good because if you get this 1.4 seconds, the thing about Gyrocopter is you use Flat Cannon and then you have to run in because Flat Cannon's off. And you get an extra attack in the 600 range, but you still have to get into 250, 400 range to use the main chunk of your damage. Mm-hmm. In addition, it's random, so you can't focus anybody. You might hit a creep unless the creeps are all dead because of cooldown.
You do have Flat Cannon for that, for killing all the creeps, which generally that does happen, right?
Mm-hmm. So
it's not as random.
But even in for the most part, you're gonna, unless you're maxed out, are you gonna justify using this slot for Gyro? You're never gonna justify this slot using for Gyro. You're gonna maximize your Flat Cannon output.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what this item does is giving you more physical damage output, right? That's what it does. The problem is you're spending 4,200 on an item that doesn't give you that much damage to begin with. So, sure, you're firing in an extra auto attack automatically at every 1.4 seconds, which that part sounds amazing. I just don't... Like, the only scenario I see this is good is when you get it for free from Alchemist.
Yeah.
And when you get an extra free, I'm sure everybody would think it's good on every single hero. But just, I don't see... I mean, maybe there's one or two rare case out there that you buy it and it's amazing, but it's not good. I wish, you know how, Razor, Eye of the Storm, it targets the dude with the lowest HP?
Yeah.
I wish this is that. But I guess they want to have the same flavor as the Rocket Barrage, just like the whole random aspect of it. I don't know.
I guess if it targeted that, maybe it'd be... it still wouldn't even be OP.
That'd be pretty good. Let's be real. I mean, like...
Still don't get it.
You walk up to somebody, you have Rocket Barrage going, you flak down the whole creeps next to it, and you get an extra auto attack every 1.4 seconds. I think that would make it really good. But again, the problem is you're spending 4.2k on an item that doesn't give you that much damage.
Yeah, and even, like, unless it's super late game, like, you're only going to do 200 damage. And 200 damage every 1.4 seconds is good.
Not bad. But
it's not great. I don't think it justifies an Axe upgrade.
Alright. Huskar. More attack speed. Good. Alright, Invoker. Alright, Invoker gets fucked. Okay, so cast point increased on Invoke. Good. Cold Snap now dispellable. Ghost Walk cooldown increase.
Invoke spells. So, that's all of them.
Yeah, all of them. Invoker's 10 real abilities. Force Spirit swapped, as well as base intelligence decreased by 6. Oof. That hurts.
Huge.
That hurts.
I mean, Invoker had like a 50% pick rate in pubs and was perma-banned in every game. Or perma-picked. This was a needed. And the problem, and he's still good in late game. I mean, he's probably going to be picked significantly less, but he's still good enough in late game. The problem is his early game is significantly weaker because of the Forge Spirit.
Nah, man. Toma Knowledge.
And the base intelligence. Toma Knowledge is going to go to Invoker every time, pretty much, unless it's like a bounty hunter.
That's a sad thing, man. I wanted to go to supports. And I do agree that it should go to Invoker, though, because you want to hit that big AoE Deafening Blast ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, is there much to talk about apart, like, what about the other items that's being purchased? I want to say Bloodthorn might be a good home for Invoker. Especially the Quaswex that go Orchid anyways, and late game you do actually dish out quite a bit of physical damage.
Could be, but it's still quite expensive. It's only 3k gold more expensive, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you'll upgrade it before getting the other Quaswex items, like Hex, Blink, whatever, BKB.
What do you think with the quote-unquote the introduction of Blade Mail would do to Invoker? Blade Mail is going to be an item that's going to be running around quite popular, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it hits him that hard, except against when he's
you'll hit him hard
BKB'd, obviously. I mean, you could, like, the thing with magic damage dealers is that, they'll take the same amount anyway. Mm-hmm. Pretty much, because they'll always have the same magic resistance unless you use a Veil, or there's a Rubik, or whatever.
Right.
I think in those situations, it's not that bad, but, if you have a BKB and you activate Blade Mail, you'll take a lot of damage.
Okay.
So that's quite strong.
Yeah, maybe not. I was thinking that Blade Mail would stop him a bit, but you're right. Also, a big part of his damage comes from the Forge Spirit as well, so...
Yeah, and another thing about Invoker is that you're usually positioned in a way where you're going to be pretty far behind the fight until you use your Deafening Blast. When you use Deafening Blast, you're going to be ravaged, and you can activate Blade Mail at that point, but then Invoker has time to react.
Right.
And things like that, so...
And you're probably lower HP and levels than Invoker that's running around doing stuff to you. So
yeah, he's still very good in mid game, late game, but his early game has been really, really trashed, and that's really good because I guess I'll get on to a little bit later. But one of the problems I had with the direction Dota's been going is that there shouldn't be heroes who are strong in every stage of the game, and I think we were getting to that point with old Jakiro, Invoker, Spectre, things like that. And I guess I'll touch on it a bit more with Spectre once we get there, because that's almost at the end. So,
Jakiro, a hero that's also strong in every stage of the game. Yeah?
I love Jakiro.
Now your late game is even stronger. Macropyre, more range. Scepter duration now up to 30 seconds. So, Scepter cooldown is 60 seconds, and your duration is 30 seconds.
Scepter, it doesn't get reduced by Scepter. It's always 60 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
even
sorry.
without scepter.
Your ultimate duration is your ultimate cooldown is 60 seconds, and when you have a scepter, it lasts for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and the range is increased to 1800. I think it's a really long range.
So you just macro pyre down the mid lane, right? When you have the scepter, and there's just a fucking cone of fire there, and nobody can stand there. That's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I think like this is one of the more fun heroes that I'll be able to try out. Jakiro is like, I think he's so much fun to play. You can just walk in, you're tanky, you're a caster, you have 2 fucking heads. What are you gonna do about it? Yeah, you're slow as hell, but you got Windlace because Jakiro builds into Yules. I don't know if he'll be good, but he's gonna be one of my fun heroes.
I don't care if you build your Windlace into Yules. I'll just buy Windlace because it's 20 movement speed. At least that's been my mantra. But in any case, actually, Jakiro has been my go-to support a lot of these games in the past. Especially when the enemy team is being greedy fuckers that pick Invoker, Spectre, Zeus off lane. Because what are they going to do against Liquid Fire? Like, Liquid Fire is still a very real spell. You can harass it in lane. And once you get to level 5, you flip the gear and start pushing towers. So I think that's still his biggest tool. And I don't know if, like, the addition of Windlace or Infused Droplet, like, is going to make it sway one area or another. I think Jakiro is a very strong hero. With that said, I've never bought an Acceptor when I've been winning in those games, and I don't know if I will ever buy an Acceptor, but maybe one of these days I will. For the fun.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. Like 20 to 30 seconds. 20 seconds was already a really long time anyway.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
All right, Juggernaut Healing Word now follows him. Good.
All the 3K pub players, like my friend,
Rejoice.
are going to be ecstatic.
All right, Keeper of the Light, movement speed increased. A free Windlace. And you can buy Windlace on top of this? Damn.
Keeper of the Light. I've always hated Keeper of the Light.
Why, man? He's such a sick hero. Have you
I
not
just hate heroes who just...
Aoi Jungle Keeper?
I just hate heroes who when you're winning, takes you longer to win. And when you're losing,
it takes
feels
you longer
bad.
to lose.
Yeah. I don't know. Keeper of the Light has a good design. I just hate it. Like, Tinker, I hated that hero. Keeper of the Light, I hate this hero.
So, in the recent tournament, Wings did pick it versus, I believe, Team
Wings,
Liquid.
your least favorite team.
Yeah, man. Keeper looked
this
good.
is quite good because now he can zone without using his Illuminate. So, I think you'll see more Keeper.
Yeah, the other problem that he had as a hero that defend towers is like sometimes they just dive you and just kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 20 extra movement speed helps in that regard.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more Keeper just because he can zone so much more effectively without using Illuminate.
Yeah. All right, torrent damage now dealt over 8 ticks. It used to do half of the damage of the torrent in the first tick, and then the rest distributed. Do you know why they changed like this? Because Infused Droplet, damn it. Now, fuck your Infused Droplet. It won't block that damage because torrent, it will go through. And of course, a lot of other small changes. The torrent mana cost decrease early on is actually a big part of it because Kunkka is a dumb hero, and he doesn't have much mana to work with.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Kunkka's been getting small buffs in like the last 10 patches. He's going to be picked a lot eventually.
Yeah. A personal story, I play Kunkka a lot as a support. Previous to 6.86, I couldn't because OD is a thing. Like, you spend all your mana, you X, you torrent, you bow, and then they're like, oh, I Astro. And your combo goes away. I imagine with OD getting a lot of nerfs, I think Kunkka, for me at least, is going to see a bit of resurgence. So, Alright, any case, Legion Commander. Duel no longer ignores disarm and ethereal states on either target. Does LC need that nerf?
No.
Isn't LC like a terrible hero right now?
Yeah, but all the scrub pubs, jungle LC, maybe it'll still dissuade them. No, jungle LC works. That's the sad thing. Oftentimes it works.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't work, it's so bad.
Yeah.
But neither of these things are good for LC.
Alright, real talk. Have you ever bought a Scepter on LC?
No.
Okay, let's keep it that way. Alright, let's talk about OP hero.
Yeah.
Lich.
And Enigma.
And Enigma, sure. Well, Lich even more so, because, one of the mechanics that we didn't talk about today, but we talked about yesterday, is now most of the EXP in a wave of creep is in the range creep. It's 90 specifically. So for Lich, you just sacrifice that range creep no matter what. In fact, siege creep is only worth 88 experience. So imagine that a range creep is worth more EXP than a siege creep, and you just eat that every single wave.
Yeah, I think this actually sets a pretty bad state, because the last patch, you didn't see too many mids. You saw, like, Puck, some Bat when S4 was in the game, Invoker, OD. Not really, like, the melee heroes who'd spam things like that, Shadow Fiend, Leshrac, Dragon Knight. And, you know, Lich was already a really strong laner. I don't know if you need to make him a stronger laner. I think you can make other abilities, maybe Chain Frost, like, move faster or things like that. But Enigma was already picked quite a bit. You deny the first creep, and now the Bounty Rune doesn't give you that experience. Yeah. It'll take you a while. Once you get that advantage in the mid lane, it's so hard to come back now, I think. And you're going to see a lot of Quap, Puck, and maybe Venomancer, because it's easy to deny creeps with the wards. But I don't know. This mid lane, we'll have to see, like, how much the roaming and how the mid meta shapes up, but this seems very limiting in what you can actually do in the mid lane now.
So I guess what you're afraid of is Resident Sleeper Lich on the mid lane, right? Getting the +1 armor from the tower.
Yeah,
you sacrifice at 1, and then you get frost armor at 2. You know, you just, like, laugh at the face. Is that what's happening?
You get sacrifice, you get Enigma'd, you know, and if those heroes are banned, you pick Quap, Puck.
All right, so
it's just going to be I think it could be very repetitive.
I'm going to tell the same story with Lich that I did yesterday. I was dual laning with my friend Alchemist against the enemy Shadow Fiend. I hit level 6 when the enemy Shadow Fiend is level 5, and we're in a duel lane. Lich sacrifice.
I mean, you were with a melee hero. Imagine if you were with a range hero.
Yeah. It's like jokes.
I guess the counter argument is that you can put a melee hero if you have a Lich on your team, like in the example you used, but then Lich is going to be in every game.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you do have bans now in pubs and pros, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like this. Well, it's not really Lich's fault. It's the mechanics' fault. But Enigma was already pretty popular in the pros. Well, reasonably popular. And, you know, Lich, you make his ridiculous lane even more ridiculous. Why? What's the point?
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing about Lich is, like, imagine pub games, right? When you're losing to Lich, you don't feel like you're losing to Lich. Because it's very innocuous, right? Like, nobody really checks the level difference until he throws a Chain Frost at you and it's 5 minutes into the game. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Lich might escape a lot of bans in pub games simply for that reason. Like, when an Alchemist beats you, you remember it because he's got 8 items and he's running at you. When Lich beats you, it's not Lich beating you. For the most part, it's probably his cores are really fat. But you forget that it's Lich that got his core to fat state because his laning stage is great. He can protect people. He gets an early mech. He has Chain Frost. I don't know. Hero's broken. I might imagine that sacrifice will get reworked to before where if you eat it in front of enemy, like they get the EXP as well.
Mm.
Maybe that will help it out a bit.
We'll have to see, but it's not looking fun, to say the least.
All right, so I hear that you like to play quite a bit.
Yeah.
Lifestealer. What's up with that?
I like Lifestealer a lot. I didn't really like the ancient thing because not only because it's cheese. Like I'm all about the cheese. Like I pick Viper and Venomancer and Baron just purely to spam things and make the other team miserable. But when you pick up an ancient, it's just not fun to play. And you know, Dota, it's not always about having fun. It's about winning a lot of the times. But when you're an ancient, you just feel a lot more limited. And yeah, I think this helps. It also delays the cheese to when more people can deal with it when they have more physical damage. But the strength growth with the Echo Saber, with things like that, he is quite strong, I think. And he is a natural drum scarer, so Windlace will help him quite a bit. And we saw a resurgence of Lifestealer from the Chinese teams at these past couple lands, Manila and Starlighter Invitational. And purely from my perspective as like a mid-tier pub player, I'm going to be playing Lifestealer a lot because I didn't really like the ancient strat anyway, and I liked right-clicking him, and this helps him so much more.
Oh.
0.6 is not a thing to be underestimated.
You'll be happy to know that Armlet also got buffed, and that's definitely a Lifestealer go-to.
I mean, before, like, until, like, the teams are, like, if you weren't doing Ancients with Lifestealer, you seemed so useless. So this was a necessary change, I think, in order to fix the Ancient mechanic. So he needed to get buffed, because you could kite him, you could TP away from him. He didn't do, like, much burst damage. This was needed.
Have you tried the Radiance build, though? And the Ancient hopping on
yeah. I mean, there was a game where I was losing, like, 17-5, and then I was awfully in Lifestealer, so I wasn't even carrying. I got the Ancients, I got the Radiance, and then we won. And I'm sure that's happened in other games.
Yeah, sure. It really has in my games as well. So, all right. Spectre in Tango now uses PRD. Battlecry reduced. I don't think we really need to sit here and talk. I'm sure
It's a pretty notable buff, I think, to the Entangle. Like, there are fights where you're right-clicking with the bear, 5 right-clicks go by, and then you start slitting your wrists.
And now, I always give this example. You could prepare your PRD, you hit a couple creeps in the neutral camps, and you don't see it in Tango. Well, it's time to go gank with your bear or something. But, I think it applies more with other heroes like PA than your Spirit Bear. But, yeah, the scenario you pointed out, you are going to get more entangles more often in time. There's been a funny story in the past where, like, certain teams can't pick Lone Druid for their cores. Like, I remember when Fluff and stuff was the same team was TC, like Team Liquid, older days.
Mm-hmm.
They would never pick TC Bear. And I was like, oh, why don't you pick him Bear? It's like, TC's Bear never entangles. That's the reason. So, now, that should be not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Alright. Luna, 0.5 agility growth. Hooray.
Cool story.
Magnus.
Do you think the items help her? Maybe the raindrops
I
could.
think Blade Mail actually hurts her. She's so reliant on magic immunity to survive in fight. And you just Blade Mail her ult, and you're like, okay.
That's true.
Yeah. Magnus getting some slight buffs. Okay, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Medusa. So, Medusa Stone Gaze got nerfed because the old build of Medusa is you will be able to leave her Stone Gaze at 1. Because remember, the old build is you get 50% damage amplification at level 1. You get 6 seconds of stone duration, and you get 50% slow. Now you're really forced to level it up. And even if you do level it up, Stone Gaze is at 35% slow. My question is, why?
I think this has to do with probably testing. Because, Dusa wasn't really picked that much, but if you look at this patch overall, it seems, and this is just from a bird's eye perspective, it seems like you're going to see more late game, and Dusa is really strong in the late game. So maybe this was something that they tested quite a bit. I'm just speculating. Maybe Dusa was too strong in the tests. Who knows? But that's the only reason I could come up with, actually.
One of the things that we didn't talk about yesterday, and something I guess you could touch on, is how the ramp has been changed. And now the tower is, the tier 3 towers are further.
I can talk about that at the end, but, I think the ramps, high ground, the armor, overall helps defensive heroes to a significant degree.
Well, a couple of things we can touch on about some of the other item changes is that Lincoln's got cheaper, and that could be a go-to item for Medusa. Mask of Madness, I think the damage amplification has been reduced. And because how it works with Mana Shield on Dusa is very, very strong interaction, and now it's even stronger. So maybe they're taking away from Dusa because she got a lot of love in terms of the items that she got.
Maybe. But it's also, you get more amplification, which could help, even though early game is usually decided more by magic damage anyway.
Sure.
And, of course, that doesn't work in Dusa's ult regardless. So, she's better early game.
Works for her own snake? Works for her Mystic Snake?
Yep.
There's that. Alright, so Meepo. Base damage plus 4. I was like, when I first saw this, it blew my mind, because I was like, dude, you get like 3 or 4 Meeples early on. So your base damage actually increased by 12, 16. And nobody cared.
Wow. Cool story, Lumi.
If you have a Meepo player, you play Meepo. If you don't have a Meepo player, you don't play Meepo. That's it.
Yeah.
Alright, Aghanim Scepter to Mirana passively triggers Star Storms every 8 seconds. Yes, it will work with your Octarine core. It will become 6 seconds. if you have that. If there's no units around you, it won't do anything, and it will trigger as soon as you are in range of enemies.
And if you're a Rubik and you have Ags and you steal Starstorm and cast it, then you have the ability too.
Awesome.
Wow.
So, I actually had a friend that played mid Mirana. This got Midas straight into Ags, and it was crazy how fast he farmed, right? You walk into a lane, you Starstorm, and the passive Starstorm triggers, the wave is gone, and you move on. In team fights, the burst damage is actually quite insane. And the way that he built it, he went the full magic damage mode with Ethereal Blade and Octarine Core. And that sounds like a whole bunch of gold, but again, you farm like a god. So it's actually quite good.
So are you going to see mid-Mirana stuff?
I think he played mid-Mirana just to see that effect happening. I think you see more supports doing it, but who knows? I want to see more core Mirana. I miss the Sing Sing mid Mirana, you know? So...
I mean, this helps core Mirana. The question is, when will you pick core Mirana? And I'm not too sure of the answer. I mean, definitely the problem with core Mirana was that, besides her damage output being so low, is that you run out of mana very quickly, and you don't farm super fast. And now you can farm super fast.
Yeah.
It's pretty useful.
And when I say core Mirana, I think we're going to see a different breed of core Mirana, right? When you used to see core Mirana, it's all like damage item, like Maelstroms, Treads, Butterfly, Scotty, whatever.
Well, yeah, even the thing about core Mirana is you had to get phase, drums,
6 items,
bottle, wand, and then you could get your first damage item, and that's already 5k.
Now, though, I feel like this item helps you tank as well as do damage to enough degree where we might see a magic-based Mirana, So are
you still going to get phase, drums, bottle?
No, I think you go Midas X. I think you farm it up.
So how do you transition? You do still get phase, bottle, drums?
No.
You just get Midas X for core Mirana.
And you stick in a windlace for the lulls. Maybe. I definitely want to try that in pubs.
Could be good.
Yeah. Morphling replicates now, deals increased the damage. Okay. And the hybrid cooldown now decreased.
Cool. I mean, if it's a Morphling game, it's a Morphling game. I don't know if this will change anything. Morphling is decent.
Yeah, speaking of Axe, let's talk about Naga Siren Axe. I think it was introduced I don't know how many patches ago, but now...
Just two patches, I think.
Okay, it's been so long. It's been so long. Song Siren Scepter regeneration rate increased from 8 to 10%. Have you ever seen it in your own games? Ever?
No, never.
Would you want to build one?
No. Why would you build one?
I mean, 10%, we are getting to a state where I feel like the number is high enough. Because Song Siren lasts what?
But you're going to have to use it when in the middle of a team fight and reset it. You're not going to use it to escape. You're not going to... I guess you can use it to escape.
I mean, think of
and then
how...
reinitiate.
Think of one of the most popular lineup composition of last patch was Spectre Haunt, Zeus ult, maybe a Prophet Wrath or maybe a Earth Spirit ult, right? That just wrecks your team. Can you imagine if somehow your support or maybe even your core position Naga just reset the team fight? How good that would be? I mean,
it's still
that's a very specific scenario. I understand, but
you're not going to get on a core. I don't think ever.
I think you could get it with the Naga. You know how the support. You know how the support Naga. It's I could transition late game with Radiance and become a core Naga. I actually think that if you could find that level of farm, I think getting Axe is probably better.
I mean, I think one of the problems with this is that if you're a support Naga and you manage to farm it, which is fine and dandy, you're probably in a decent spot and you're going to use the song to initiate, I think, a decent amount. And this is more of an escapability Axe. I don't know if you're behind his Naga and you're farming, then why are you taking farm away from carry? I don't know if this will change too many things, honestly. It's a lot of gold. That's the problem with most Aghanims on supports. It's a lot of gold. And if you're winning, this is not very useful whatsoever.
Yeah. It's I was trying to compare.
It's pretty much only a comeback support item, I think. And that's pretty niche.
Yeah. I agree with that point. I was trying to compare with Omni Knight's Ultimate. It's just the difference is Omni, when you have your ultimate on, you are invincible and you could attack them.
Yeah. You don't have to spend 4.2k gold for it.
And Naga, you can't actually attack them. So, yeah, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, MP. Treant, more vision nerfs, more nerfs or treants.
Good.
The hero's still broken because he has the best spell in the entire game, Teleport.
Yep.
So. Alright, Reaper's Scythe. Oh man, I've been clamoring for this change for how many patches? Do you remember me clamoring for this change like 3 years ago?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like, I haven't watched like any of your last couple of patch logs, or any patch logs in general.
I think we did a patch log like 3 years ago and I was saying this change. Like how...
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, how fucking unfair is it that level 1 ultimate, you die and you just spend 60 seconds at the wall?
Yeah, you're level 5, you spend 40 seconds.
You're like, what? Well, let's tap out and check Reddit or something, because, damn.
And this is a good change.
It is
because level 1 Ags is better now, and it's not as punishing. So this is pretty good. I like this change. It's pretty elegant.
Yeah, and the scythe damage, like, sometimes just getting the kill is decent, too. You know?
I mean, 0.4% of, like, 500 HP is so low. You have to cast him when he's at, like, 200 HP.
Yeah, factor magic resist and everything.
And 200 damage for an ultimate is pretty bad, even at level 1.
You know what's coming in 6.88? Like, under the tower, you get 10% extra magic resist. Like, no joke.
I think that would, like, kill Dota.
I hope Dota never gets there. I really do. Alright, Nyx Assassin. Base HP regen. One more.
Yeah, already playable. Already the most annoying hero to push up against when he has Aghanims. You know, now he's even more playable. Cool story.
Yeah.
I guess he indirectly got nerfed because Invoker and OD got nerfed. But still, he's a good hero.
I would buy Infused Droplet if there's a Nyx Assassin in the enemy team. No joke. It's not there to kill you now.
Yeah, but the mid-notice hit is still quite good.
Yeah. Alright, let's skip over Omni, because cool. Add a scepter to Oracle, reduces Purifying Flame, that's the nuke that heals, or does damage first and then heals.
Yeah.
Reduce a cooldown from 2.25 to 1, and lowers the cast point from 0.3 to 0.1.
I think level 4 Purifying Flames does 350 and does 9 HP regen per second, something like that.
Yeah.
Over 300 damage, like 9. So now I can cast like 3, you heal for maybe 100, and then you purge it off, that's 800 damage in the space of 3 seconds. And has a really good range. It's quite good.
Problem is, it's hard to farm 4.2k on Oracle.
Yeah.
He's very reliant on items to keep him alive. So a lot of times you want a Force Staff, you want an Aether Lens, you want a Ghost Scepter, you want a Glimmer Cape. So I see very specific scenarios where you'd be like, okay, I'm going to skip a couple of these defensive items and go Axe.
I think what this does, maybe, is maybe Pigeon, not really Pigeon, but like you could maybe see an Oracle mid and you farm Ags and then you just go around Purifying Flame everything. I don't think it'll happen, but it's an option. It's like a mid Dazzle, I guess.
Yeah, the problem with mid Dazzle, apart from, well,
I mean, the problem with Oracle is you can't push the wave, things like that.
Exactly. You can't push tower, you can't split push, you can't, I don't know. I like it. I'm going to try it on pub games, but you know, don't put all your money into this one. All right, so OD, a lot of nerfs.
Good.
Predominantly, to me, the biggest nerf is actually the cast range on level 1 Astro.
Oh yeah, that is definitely the biggest nerf.
Because a lot of times ODs leave their Astro as one of the last things they level up, and one of the easiest way to set up a gank is you walk up, you Astro them, and your support runs in because you have 4 seconds to do so. You set up arrows or whatever, and then you get a kill. Now, 225, that might as well be melee. That is just a joke.
It's pretty interesting, because this happens in other patches as well, where things start trending very quickly. Like, for example, in the last couple tournaments, Odie has never been picked, but he still got nerfed pretty hard for the most part. And this has happened in other patches, like in, I don't know, Tinker patches or stuff like that, where heroes start suddenly falling out of favor very quickly. But, you know, other than that, I'm a huge fan of it. It's such a miserable hero to play against.
Are you saying this is perhaps a bit over nerf?
It could be. I think it is, because, I mean, it's definitely not an overnerf in pubs, and that's going to be pretty much all I care about. But in the pro scene, it might be unviable to play him now.
I feel like if you just have the first 2 lines, it already could be enough. Or maybe you don't reduce it to 225, maybe to 400, level 1. I just feel like this is maybe a little bit too heavy-handed. I'm sure nobody...
I think a lot of the people want to do 1, 2, 3, 4 second duration on prison and do the same range, same damage.
Okay.
I think that could have been good, but I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be glad to see him gone. That's for sure.
All right. Phantom Assassin. I actually think that PA might reemerge as one of the go-to carries because of how annoying her laning stage. Stifling Dagger now does a real physical attack for 60 plus percentage of your attack damage. All effects work and behave as if your hero has performed them. So we talked about this in a previous patch. That means if you have a Battle Fury, your dagger will cleave. If you have Coup de Grace, they will crit. I tried with the Blightstone, and I've actually tested it. You actually do apply the minus armor before your dagger damage hits. So your dagger damage actually is increased. Of course, it works with things like Orb of Venom. And, I mean, you played with me firsthand with this hero, right? Like, it was a Clink's off lane, and I was just chucking daggers at him. And he was just not staying in lane.
I mean, it is a Clink's off lane, but I agree with you. This is very significant. But PA needed it. Didn't Evasion get hit pretty hard, I think?
Evasion is no longer... Or Evasion uses PRD.
Yeah, Blade Mail is really strong against PA.
Sure, yeah.
So she needed some tweaks. I don't know if she'll be... She's definitely going to be a pup stomper now, I think. I don't know if she'll be seen too much in the pro scene.
One of her best items got taken away, in my opinion, Abyssal Blade.
Oh, yeah.
The plus 60 damage is quite relevant.
You don't want to build Vanguard on PA.
Yeah, you don't want to. Although, with that said, though, Echo Saber might be the new build for her. Because you go in, you get 2 hits immediately. Granted, you already get a lot of fast attacks with Blink Strike anyways. But, who knows? I tried the SNY into Divine Rapier build yesterday. And I clearly remember there was one fight where I just daggered and somebody just popped. Because, 70% of your Divine Rapier damage is quite a lot.
Well, we were owning that game, anyway.
No, the enemy tiny with Echo Saber was actually quite formidable.
I mean, we were 1 racks up, and we were ahead.
And about the buff, so.
Yeah.
Alright. So, Phoenix, Supernova Scepter now increases the number of attack needed to destroy the egg to 13 at level 16. Wow. I tried this yesterday in my pop game. When my sniper got dove by 3 people, I gave them a good old Fiery Spirit, I doved in, I picked up my sniper, and they just cannot kill the egg. I don't think I died a single time in my egg after I picked up Axe.
How many attacks can you without the Axe?
I'm
actually checking right now.
I want to say
5, 8, 11. So 2 more attacks.
Yeah.
2 more attacks is a lot.
2 more attacks is a lot, especially when you have fire birds on them. And the added stats of the axe, which is often part
So what's the build? Is it Tranquils, Midas?
Yeah, that's what
Axe? Tranquil, Midas, Shivas?
I went straight axe.
Or Urn or whatever.
I didn't pick up an Urn. Well, in that game, I just wanted to test how good the axe is. But what I've noticed is with the axe picked up, you get a big boost on mana, and I was able to flash farm like a god. Because, I just, every wave I see, I just Fire Spirit, Sunray. And I just move on. So, I was able to farm quite quickly. So,
yeah,
sure.
I think it's good. I mean, it's good enough without picking up the ally, which is, a good enough reason to pick it up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Phoenix is already a decent hero. Helps.
That was the game where I had the mid Mirana that bought the axe herself. What I did not test is whether it works when I pick her up while she's in me, whether it starts.
I don't imagine it does. I think maybe Mirana's out of the game at that state.
Yeah, it would be cool if it does, right?
It would be cool.
All right. Puck Illusory Speed by 1. All right. So the Nether War change as well as the Tombstone change later on for Undying. the illusions don't wreck your thing anymore.
Yeah, needed.
Because those heroes are just unplayable.
Yeah.
Alright, so do we need to talk about Razor or Ricky? Or
No,
Rubik?
I mean, Ricky, I guess Ricky, the interesting thing is, what does he do better than Bounty? I think you can play him as a roamer. You can play him as a roaming support. He scales better than Bounty, but he doesn't have the burst damage that Bounty does.
I think he's a very strong snowball semi-core. Like, I distinctly remember a game where Ricky came up with the Yasha treads and was just, like, killing stuff. I think Blightstone helps.
But you're not going to put Ricky in the safe lane to farm it.
You know.
You're going to do, like, a 4-position Ricky?
Yeah, if you have a
like a
runaway
Night Stalker, maybe?
Yeah, if you have a runaway Ricky problem, like, it could get out of control. I think Blightstone helps. Although, again, you know, when I brought up earlier...
I mean, the thing about Blightstone is... are you going to get Blightstone and Overvenom?
Yeah, that's the thing.
2 item slots.
That's very expensive, so I don't know.
But it is cool to think about.
Yeah. Alright, so Rubik turn rate increased. Sad. And then you get more damage. Cool.
Yep.
Alright, Shadow Demon. This is actually a buff, because especially sometimes you stack the neutrals a bit, like, and you're level 1, and you sit there for 20 seconds of Sandstorm, and you just don't kill the wave.
Yeah, no. It is a buff, and then it's...
Because
like
once you have max Sandstorm, you don't need 80 seconds. Like, there's no count that will survive 80 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely a buff.
Yeah.
The question is, are we going to see Jungle Pub Sand King in every game?
I hope not. But he's
Hopefully
a very
not.
fun hero, in my opinion.
I guess.
Alright, so Shadow Demon. Okay, let's move on. There's nothing to talk about Shadow Demon. He's got some buffs. Alright, Shadow Fiend. What do you think about this?
So there was a YouTube thing of Weeha using Yules and Aghanim Scepter and blowing up people.
You mean a new one in 6.87?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing about it is you could already blow up people if you want that build anyway. Mm-hmm. But you do have more souls now, so it's good.
It's quite good, right? Because a lot of the problem with like a semi-carry core getting Aghanim Scepter is the Scepter itself is a very heavy cost, and it doesn't give you damage. This gives you damage. A lot of it. And
I guess the good thing about Shadow Fiend compared to other heroes is that, you know, he builds BKB, and he's mostly magic damage, so actually the BKB piercing him doesn't, or the Blade Mail change doesn't really hurt him because it's affected as magic damage, which doesn't really hurt him too much. Plus, he gets the heal back once the souls are withdrawn to him.
Yes.
So I think it diversifies his item build. The question is if it's good or not. And it might be.
I think
more builds are always good in Dota. And
SMY,
you definitely agree with that.
SMY also got hit on the range hero side.
Mm-hmm.
The maim chance got increased, but for range heroes, the maim slow got decreased quite a bit. And S1 used to be like kind of the go-to build for Shadow Fiend. So we might see a resurgence of the Blink Yules into a Scepter, maybe. I don't know. I just think that build is so flashy and fun to watch and play with. I hope to see more of. So, all right, cool. Shaman Scepter, cool. More splash. Yep. We both tested it. And I was like, okay, it looks kind of the same as before. So,
pretty much. Yeah. I'm sure, like super advanced, there's some difference, but who cares?
All right. Silencer. Last word no longer slows. Arcane Curse base duration reduced. Arcane Curse now slows movement speed by 18%. Arcane Curse cooldown increased. And of course, Glaive of Wisdom. This is the first time I've ever seen Dota doing this. They're making the Glaive carry build weaker. They always used to keep pushing the Glaive carry build. No longer.
I mean, Arcane Curse was so shit unless you were playing its Invoker or Bristleback that they need to buff it to a significant degree. So now they buffed it to a significant degree. Would you go Arcane Curse build? Maybe.
I did.
If I had to guess, I think you still get max Last Word and maybe 2 points into Wisdom, keep the same scaling, and then you get more points in Arcane Curse.
No, I actually maxed Arcane Curse yesterday just to test it out. Granted, I did it in a game where it was very good to do it in. I did it against a Bristleback, a Zeus, and a PA.
I mean, those heroes get hard countered.
Exactly.
Except for PA, maybe.
Well, the PA, the slow is quite relevant.
As a Bristleback player, whenever I see a Silencer, I know the game's pretty much over.
So
it's so miserable.
In teamfight, I just cursed like the Zeus and the Bristle, and they're done. So, you know. Skywrath Mage, Mystic Flare Scepter duration increased from 2.4 to 12. I don't know how they settled down the number 12. I just think it's funny. The cooldown of Mystic Flare increased to 5 seconds. So a couple of things to mention here. One of the mechanics change is that now your spell damage scales with int. Every 16 int you get 1%, which is quite relevant for most casters, but for Skywrath Mage in particular, because your first spell also scales like that, also scales with int. So I personally didn't play it, but Scansor, who's the person I did the item portion of the patch lock analysis with yesterday, he was mentioning that he noticed a sizable increase on damage output when he dropped his spells. And he was also saying that Infused Raindrops works very well with Skywrath Mage simply for the mono regen aspect.
Yeah, but now you have to get BKB on Skywrath Mage because you're just going to get blade mailed.
Well, does it help? Oh no, it does help because you.
It does help because it's return as magic damage.
I don't know. You just get a hood. Yeah.
It's a lot of damage.
Blade mail still Rexes here.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, Sniper. Unless you have some more to talk about with Skywrath Mage.
No, I don't have anything to talk about Sniper either.
Dude, 60 damage shrapnel, dude.
Are you going to get wind or hurricane pike on this guy? Because it's not like you need more range anyway.
My friend did yesterday against a Clockwork, although that's like a very specific case. I think against Clockwork you might need it.
When you just get the 4 staff and keep it?
Well, you want Dragonlance anyways, right? At that point, if you have 4 staff, you might as well get it, because Dragonlance gives you good stats. And
the thing about, like, too much range is that maybe you're going to be outside of experience range.
Come on. You just want to kill the guy. Who cares? I mean, if you think, like, heroes like, Lifestealer being more popular, Sven being things like popular, I actually think that it's not a bad build. I actually think that Hurricane Pike might actually be a good Shadow Fiend build as well. Which might be counterintuitive, because Shadow Fiends sometimes want to be close, but sometimes you want to be far away to, like, do raises and stuff. I mean, you're
going to want to be far away when you have max items.
Yes.
You want to be close so you can hit your raises in your ultimate in the early to mid game. I think it's pretty bad on Shadow Fiend, actually.
I mean, 6 years ago, I had a Shadow Fiend 4-staff build, right? Like, now I could do it again. Because Hurricane Pike has good stats.
I guess. How are you going to hit your raises then? I mean, you never hit your raises anyway, so.
Okay.
I remember playing a Shadow Fiend game with you on 4 staff boots of travel, and then it was like the most miserable game ever, because you just teleport everywhere, farm everything, and then
we lose the team fight. Yeah. Alright, so Storm Spirit.
No, Spectre.
Oh, sorry, Spectre. We skipped it. Spectre, lots of nerf.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest nerf?
The biggest thing is definitely the cooldown on Haunt.
I agree.
And I want to say the thing about Dota is that there are certain heroes that were too strong at every stage, like Invoker, especially Spectre, because Spectre was probably the premier late game carry, but she also became the best fighting carry in the early to mid game, and I don't think that should have been allowed, because if you're the best fighting carry to transition to the best late game carry, then what's the risk in playing Spectre? It's purely on the back of poor farming and poor laning, and that's such a small risk. You saw in the last tournament, Spectre was owning pretty much everybody aside from one game. She was like 7-1, and Spectre is becoming more and more cancerous. And the thing about Spectre is that if you go back in Dota, she's always had a problem with being too strong. And I don't know if that this is good. I don't know if it's good enough, because the agility growth, less damage, less armor, less attack speed is quite good. The longer cooldown helps a decent amount, but high ground is a bit better. It's a little bit harder to push. I think, it's gonna be interesting to see what place Spectre is in. She'll definitely be less good, but I think she's still quite strong, because the same builds on her, aside from the Fusel Blade nerf and maybe the Drums nerf, is gonna still be good, and she's still gonna be quite strong in team fights.
You can make the argument about Diffusal Blade being a nerf or a buff, because yes, the illusions itself do less damage, but she's a fine wielder of Diffusal Blade on her own. Like, she hits hard on her own as well. So, I would make the argument, because by the way, I completely agree with your point that, like, you just have to wreck her in the laning stage, because as soon as she hits 6, then she could begin making her comeback, even if she had a terrible laning stage, right? So when I was playing against Spectre, my go-to pick is Undying, because I just, like, stomp her in lane. But in back of my mind, I know that I have a clock going, right? I need to like wreck her hard in lane. But now,
yeah, and if Spectre ever wins one fight against you, even when you're 20 kills behind, it just feels so bad. You're just suddenly under so much more pressure.
But here's the thing: she gets a free +1 armor under her tower now. Like I don't know if I'm just overputting this +1 armor thing, but that helps her a lot.
It helps her.
How am I gonna die for us on dying now? +1 armor.
And I think that has to do with the power creep. There shouldn't be heroes who are strong at every stage in the game. Like old Invoker,
Old
Spectre,
Gyro.
to a certain degree, old Gyro.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen in Dota. And, we saw some tweaks to some of these heroes, Gyro, Invoker, Spectre, but hopefully it never happens again, because it's just like, even in pubs games, it's so stressful. Imagine if you're in a pro game where the other 4 teammates are going to go around setting up ganks for the Spectre, and in the back of your minds, all right, we're on the clocks. Otherwise, Spectre's going to get, not even Radiance, get the Manta Diffuser build, kill your 2 supports, and then it's 3v5.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be heroes like that in the game, and these tweaks help.
Actually, do you think the new Abyssal Blade would be a good purchase in late game Spectre? Because sometimes she builds a Vanguard, right?
Mm. Rarely.
The Abyssal, you haunt in, you just like disable whoever you need to.
I don't think you'll get it over drums and whatever.
No. You don't think they'll get the Vanguard over drums?
Yeah.
Well, drums did get nerfed this patch.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, the thing about drums, it's defensive and offensive, and I think you're still going to play Spectre as, alright, hit level 6, go smoke gank, kill a hero every 140 seconds.
Okay.
The same Spectre style is still the same, and if you're getting Vanguard, you're not going to get Abyssal second item, you're going to get Abyssal 5th item.
Sure.
But you're going to get Vanguard first item.
It's just that the, I think Abyssal has a nice interaction with Haunt, because you get to stick on the person you want immediately at the beginning of the fight, and there's very little the enemy team could do about it. Because you'll haunt into...
But Diffusal Blade sort of accomplished a similar task.
No, and you get a stun through BKB, so...
Yeah, but Diffusal Blade accomplished a similar task.
Sure. I'm hoping we do see the Abyssal Blade, because I'm a big proponent of Vanguard, especially for Spectre, because you get to jungle, where Spectre is not exactly the best jungler with drums earn, because you do take more damage than you want. But
you farm faster with the drums, I guess.
Anyways,
I mean, if you see Vanguard, you're gonna get Radiance. If you see drums, you're probably gonna go Manta and then whatever.
Sure. All right, so we got Storm's Thread added Aghanim Scepter. Basically, when you jump in and you press Electric Vortex, it's a RP sort of.
Yeah, pulls you
toward them.
Yep.
So I actually think this is a really, 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 really good axe for Storm. And hear me out. Storm, for the most part, in the game, like, he's a single target pick-off person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in the late game against very disciplined teams, he has trouble. Like, if teams are staying together and you jump in as a Storm, you get immediately disabled and you die. So I feel like this adds a different dimension to how Storm could be played. Now, in the late game, you could be this kind of a big one-team fight ultimate kind of player, like a Void or a Magnus or a Tidehunter.
With the shorter cooldown?
With a much shorter cooldown. So, early game, you get the single target pick-off, you get towers off of that. Late game, you get team fight. And the Scepter stats is actually terrible for Storm, because it adds to your mana pool, and that doesn't work well with how your ball lining works. Mm-hmm. And of course, Storm is currently at a very shitty place. Like,
mm-hmm.
But I actually think this Storm Axe Scepter is actually, like, 9 out of 10. Like, one of the best Axe. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
No, it's a good Axe. Like, in a pure vacuum, it's a good Axe. The problem is that you have to pick Storm to do it. And the problem with that is Storm's item build. You need mana regen. You have shit laning. You need transitional items, because otherwise you're just going to run out of mana and die. I mean, this is a 9 out of 10 Ags if it wasn't attached to Storm.
So let's say if you had the old Storm,
mm-hmm.
and you had this Axe. Is it like the new Invoker, new OD, the broken shit?
I'm not really a Storm player, but the build was like maybe Orchid, maybe Bloodstone, Lincolns, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could get it as like a fourth item if you wanted to use it.
I mean, you get it when you're trying to break high ground, right? And you have a lot of time to plan around.
Yeah, it'd be good. I mean, but unfortunately now it's a good items attached to Storm.
That's shitty hero. All right, Sven, base MS reduced. I'm surprised that's the only thing he got.
Yeah, Sven is still going to be pretty strong, I think.
Yeah. Although,
which is good. I like playing Sven, but it's probably not going to be good in pubs. But I like playing Sven.
He's actually very good against Blade Mail too, because Warcry is like, okay, you return physical damage back to me. I have 20 armor.
But it's also pretty bad because now it actually goes through BKB, and Sven is definitely a BKB carrier.
No. I'm saying it doesn't matter if it goes through BKB, because Sven deals out a bunch of physical damage, right? So Blade Mail will reflect physical damage back. But you have Warcry.
Yeah, but you're still going to take damage, whereas before you wouldn't take any damage.
Fair enough.
I guess you'll take like 50 damage if you do like 300 damage, something like that. I don't know. I'm just ballparking.
Ballparking, airball math. Alright, Terrorblade. Just what he needed. More armor.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Terrorblade is that he got an HP regen, or HP increase from the I mean, everybody got an HP increase.
Isn't he at like 14 base armor now at level 1 or something dumb?
Yeah, he's a good hero.
And then when you stand under a tower, 15.
Good game.
Damn.
Ungankable.
Unkillable.
Unless you have your Blight Stone.
I don't know if you have Blight Stone. Alright. Timbersaw. Whirling Death debuff duration increased, and armor regen and armor stack increased. So I did the math. If you have max reactive armor, you have 32 armor.
Oh man, really difficult math right there.
What? It took 20 times 1.6, man. It's hard. And when you stand under a tier 2, 35 armor.
Yeah, you're gonna...
The BAM! Where's your Blightstone now?
Good game.
I mean, as much I'm joking about this, it's actually quite relevant. I mean, when you get to a 30 plus armor threshold, that's actually like, okay, what do you do? Because it's hard to nuke him down. He already has a lot of HP with like Bloodstone X.
I mean, burst damage still works on him. Again, this is sort of the Storm Spirit thing. You have to pick Timbersaw to use him. I mean, Timbersaw he's good compared to like Storm.
You know how like earlier when I said like picking Silencer into Bristle and Zeus is like an auto win? I feel like Timbersaw, when you pick him into certain heroes, is an auto win as well, right? Like strength made. Like, can you imagine like laning against him as, I don't know, like a Lifestealer or Sven? It's like, you're not having a good time.
Well, you're not going to solo. And are you going to max your active armor first? Maybe.
No, probably not. You still get like 1 or 2 value points, and then...
I've played Timbersaw a little bit, like not too much. And it's always been the problem with you have to lane him. And then you have to transition to items.
Yeah.
Like, once you get to the mid-game, before they have BKBs, he's really strong, and then you have to deal with BKBs. It's always, like, strong. Timbersaw is, like, some of the worst timings of heroes in the game.
Don't you get Blade Mail now?
Yeah, you have
Blade Mail. Just go in, turn on Blade Mail, and you Whirling Death and Chakram. What do they do? They just run and die. I don't know. Seems good. Seems legit.
Yeah, I mean, that was the same thing before you got Blade Mail, and now you can still BKB.
Yeah, okay. Alright, Tinker. Couple changes. No longer refresh pipe, because pipe, now you can stack it. Not stack it, but refresh it one after another. So, cool. I don't ever want to see Tinker ever again, so.
Yep. That's the one hero. You can keep your techies. Never again, Tinker.
Oh, I can't believe you said that. Like, if 3 years ago you said that, I don't know if I would agree with
I mean, Tinker almost made me quit Dota. It was so bad.
Alright, so Nature Skies. A couple of buffs in Nature Sky. Movement speed buff. Search radius. Actually, search radius got nerfed. Unleash Seed got changed a bit. Got buffed. I don't know. Nothing... I mean, if you're going to pick Tree, you're going to pick Tree.
Yep.
Although, Living Armor with Thieves Droplet. Yeah. Nobody dies.
Yeah, I guess. What would go first?
I don't know.
Would it stack? Who cares?
I mean, all I know is your dude is not gonna die under living armor and infused droplet, right?
Yeah, I think the point of picking tree is that you don't have to buy infused droplets, maybe.
Maybe you do.
Well, not the point, but...
Yeah. Alright, Char Warlord getting a buff, Tusk getting a buff, Undying getting a buff. I'm going through this very fast. Let's actually go down to Viper. I actually think this is quite a significant change.
Yeah, I am a dirty Viper picker. If I want to turn my brain off and I want to make the other person mid lane not fun, then I pick Viper.
Alright, so the thing that you were touching on is Maelstrom, right? Because you say this hero needs to farm.
Yeah, the thing about Viper is that, you know, you get to a mech, you get to that, you just have to sit in lane for a decent amount of time and then you push. And if you don't end the game on the back of your momentum, Viper is so hard to come back with. And Maelstrom can help. The thing about it is that you don't usually use poison attack to farm creeps anyway. You just use your Maelstrom regardless. But now you have the poison attack available to you in team fights. Desolator helps you push. This is obviously a good thing. But this might be one of the heroes that you would build the Hurricane Pike on, because you would build Dragonlance on Viper. Yeah, you would. And you cast the Viper Strike, and then maybe you Hurricane Pike, and
pew pew.
I don't think you're the problem with Hurricane Pike is what item would you get? You'd get Dragonlance, but you would never rush Hurricane Pike. You'd get Dragonlance and then get 2 items, and then you maybe get Hurricane Pike.
I think the Hurricane Pike upgrade comes down to what certain melee bruisers that are going in your face. Although I feel like Viper is fairly good against those heroes as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not
so on the Hurricane Pike. I'm so on the Desolator, especially at early Blightstone lane. Because how well it interacts with your Nether Toxin and Poison Attack.
Yeah,
it's hard.
No. Desolator might be the build.
On Reddit,
Lifesteal's decent, I guess, because if you hit harder with Nether Toxin and you can use Satanic, that helps.
Okay.
But the problem with Viper is you still have to farm to that point. And if you're farming a Viper, it's already not the best stage, probably.
What about... On Reddit, I saw Eye of Skadi with Poison Attack. Like, the hero's literally not moving. So that's interesting, although you don't hit as hard, and it's very, very hard to farm. What about the new Silver Edge? Shadowblade Viper? Have you played that build before?
No. I don't like Silver Edge on Viper. I don't like Silver Edge in general. Just because if you have a Shadowblade, people are going to start planning for it, and you have to get that first hit off with the Shadowblade. And if you get that first hit off, you're probably winning the game anyway.
I mean, I feel like it's counterintuitive to the Viper playstyle, right? The old Viper is you just kind of tank up and you slowly whittle enemy down. Mm-hmm. And the Poison Attack no longer is an attack modifier. Maybe allows them to be played more offensively. Like the Desolator, for example, we mentioned. Maybe even the new Shadowblade. Just getting the early damage in, allowing your Nether Toxin to
I think it's best with Desolator, now that I think about it more. Because if you have your Poison Attack on autocast, you know, it's sad to say, even though he has like one spell, Viper has mana issues.
He does. Especially
since you don't really want to get like bottle. I mean, it's mostly fixed. You have like a Quilla and a wand, and that pretty much solves all of it.
Right.
But if you don't go for those items, you're gonna run out of mana eventually. So it's really difficult. I think Deso is probably the best. Or Deso or Lifesteal. Probably Deso or Lifesteal. I mean, if you're gonna get Maelstrom, you're not gonna use Poison Attack to farm creeps anyway.
Okay.
Unless you're like pulling them out.
Let's say you don't get the full Deso. Would you get a value Blightstone lane?
I think so. I think this is like one of the only heroes to get value Blightstone on.
Yeah. I just think it's just such a strong... Oh, what about Orb of Venom? Maybe not, right? On range, it's just... Like,
probably not, just because
he's
that
10% more slow.
No, I don't think so.
Alright. Visage. So Gravekeeper Cloak, a couple... I mean, do you care about Visage?
No.
Okay. Okay. Warlock. So we had a big argument yesterday about Flaming Fist. Basically, it's more consistent now.
Mm-hmm.
And consistency generally is good.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like consistency myself, personally.
Yeah, Lumi was arguing for better burst, and I was saying the consistency is better, because the thing about Warlock Ultimate, unless you have Upheaval channeled, and you're going to cast the Ultimate and then channel Upheaval. But the stun duration is only like 1.5 seconds, something like that. So people are going to be able to run unless you have a follow-up. And this is an early game. So you're only going to get maybe 2 or 3 hits off anyway. And if you don't get that 80 damage off, then Warlock Ultimate is significantly worse.
Yeah.
But now you always get damage.
The age-old debate between consistency and, like, spike damage is, like, think of hero that does spike damage in Dota, right? It's your Ogre Magi, it's your Phantom Assassins. They don't get picked. Like,
yeah.
You just can't rely on the RNG.
We've both played Warlock before. Like, Warlock is not... I mean, we've both played Warlock, and can you actually say that you get more than 2 attacks off on a hero?
Well, generally they die if you get more than 2 attacks off, because that's personally why
That's only in the early game, though.
Yeah, that's personally why I love the spike damage on Flaming Fist, because sometimes you do get the RNGs, like, boom, they get hit by 1 or 2 hits, and they blow proc a Flaming Fist, and they just die. So that's why I like it.
Now you get more damage early on with the consistency.
Yeah, that's probably the big thing. And the consistency actually is a big part for pushing and farming. Because sometimes you drop the rock, the fight's over, you send it to the jungle, and you could just, like, mold down the jungle fast. So, there's that too.
So I think it's better.
Yeah. Alright, Weaver. Okay.
When casting Shaker. Oh, I guess the third thing is cool. It's more of a sensible thing, because it was pretty annoying. Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty annoying.
Wyvern. Upgrade, Scepter. Your Arctic Burn is now toggleable, so imagine Poison Attack, or actually the better comparison is Voodoo Restoration, right? When you turn it on, it'll drain your 40 mana per second, and it does have an activation cost. But basically, you could turn it on and become a siege cannon.
Yep.
I have not tried it out, but I play Wyvern is my second most played hero. My theory craft on this is that it becomes an excellent base defense mechanism.
Yep.
You could make an argument that you could siege tower with this, although as a support Wyvern, you're pretty full damage. Now Wyvern's already very good at base defense situation because of Splinter Blast, but Splinter Blast does have a fairly longish cooldown, especially when you're hitting your Rexes. So,
oh my god, 7 seconds or whatever.
7 seconds is, man, that's a lot of time. And normally with supports getting axe, you make the argument of being, like, having difficulty in farming it, but Wyvern Splinter Blast is a heck of a farming spell. So if you want to buy an axe, you generally can buy an axe with Wyvern. So I'm looking forward with trying this item out. Like, if I need to rate this axe, I want to say, like, maybe like a 7 out of 10. It's, like, fairly good, but fairly situational. Maybe 6 out of 10. It's good enough, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this axe is that you can actually farm it on a support, which already makes it better than a lot of other support axes. I mean, we tested a little bit. It doesn't continuously stack like Burning Spears. It refreshes like the other one.
Right.
Did you notice mana problems when we were doing the, like, WTF mode? Or whatever, when you're testing it?
That is the other thing. Wyvern does have mana problem, especially when you're the mech buyer for the team. You're spamming Splinter Blast. You have things like Glimmer Cape that you want to use. So, with that said,
Glimmer Cape went down in cost
by 20.
Yeah.
The thing is, you are getting Axe, so it does give you 400 extra mana or whatever it is. So that helps, you know. So, I think if you're getting the item, you're not gonna run into too much mana issues.
Cool.
Alright, so Wraith King. Mortal Strike now does a double crit when attacking non-heroes. So you could farm like a boss. Actually, I wonder if the Longdra Bear counts.
I think it does.
As a hero or non-hero?
I think it counts as a non-hero.
Okay. Jungle Wraith King?
Yeah, Jungle Wraith King. Roche Wraith King.
Yeah.
Maybe you Roche at similar time. Yeah. Wraith King, one of his core items is Blade Mail.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Armlet is back.
Yep.
Blade Mail's back. Echo Saber is back.
Yep. Echo Saber back.
Yeah. And Zeus got nerfed.
Yeah. I mean, it was needed because Zeus benefits more than another hero besides maybe like Leshrac from plus damage from intelligence and things like that.
Yes.
So, and speaking as an offlane initiator player, static field disabling Blink Dagger, it was such a nightmare playing against
Oh, dude,
Zeus.
how many times have you seen like Echo Slams whiffing?
Yeah,
Like
tied onto Ravages.
Yeah.
Getting one hero rather than 3.
I don't know. I feel like that was a very important part of Zeus. Like, Blink Daggers just need to be afraid.
It was an important part, but I mean, Zeus is still good, I think, because you have still most of your toolkit. You still do the most hero damage out of any other hero damage.
Infused Droplet, though, man. I think it's a heavy-handed nerf.
No, I think it's going to be very good on Zeus because.
No, I'm saying infused droplets against Zeus.
But it's also good on Zeus because Zeus doesn't want to be ganked ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Zeus is going to get killed anyway because he's so immobile.
Yeah. Oh, no, you have Hurricane Pipe. No, I can upgrade that on Zeus. Alright. That will do it for the hero portion of the changelog. Bballin, I know you wanted to talk about maybe some of the specific mechanics. I know we touched on a lot of them. Is there anything in particular that you want to address?
So I just want to so I'll just talk a little about my favorite and least favorite things about this patch. So my favorite things is that Bounty Rune doesn't give experience anymore at level 1.
Yeah. I like
that was too much. Things like that. I like a lot of the juke spots. I like a lot of the items. They don't seem as broken as old Glimmer Cape was. Things of that nature. Most of the items seem good. Some of the heroes that I was expecting to get more buffed, like Centaur, didn't really get buffed, but he has blade mail buffs, so there is that. The thing that I think could be dangerous, mid lane diversity. I think it'll be quite limited because the range denying component of the creep wave is so much bigger now.
Sure.
I think you're going to see a lot of Quaps, Pucks, Venomancers, because Venomancer, once you hit level 5, you can deny pretty much every creep in the wave.
Shadow
and
Fiend,
deny
I
is
saw
huge.
quite a bit of that.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend is going to be very strong.
Well, here's the thing, though. You just rattle off like 5 or 6 different mid heroes. Do you think the diversity would be an issue there?
You're going to ban a couple. You're going to ban, like, maybe 2, I think. Like, if you're playing against G, if somebody's playing against G on Verse Pro, you're going to ban out the Quap. Something like that.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty interesting because tier 2 towers were really hard to defend, and now they're much easier, and the damage was increased. So it's still a bit difficult because of the terrain to hit tier 2s, but you can still do it. But going up high ground, you can't really poke and prod with your Aegis carrier anymore. You have to fully commit. And there's a couple of things of that, because before you'd have limited vision as the sieging team, because it's difficult to plant wards inside the base because they're going to see it and deward it. So it would probably be one hero hitting the building unless you're winning by a ridiculous amount, and then the rest of the heroes standing back. But now you have to fully commit your entire team, so now your whole team has a bit more vision, and you won't have that evasion proc.
So,
but you're going to be a little bit more clumped, I think.
On that note, when we had this discussion yesterday, I agreed with you, and then I played like 6 or 7 pop games, and I was specifically looking for that. And sorry, my dog is whining. I was specifically looking for that, and I didn't really see that, because the way that my team pushed was fairly safe. Like, if we know we can't take the high ground, we don't walk up. And if we know we are strong enough to take high ground, we just walk up. And the ramp, the tower being a little bit further in, sure, you have to commit further.
But you just said something that ties into another point, and I think maybe one of the most important things I'm going to say. I don't want Dota to be pushed into longer games. We've seen a very big shortening of games. We saw TI4, which was not a very good finals experience. I think a lot of the power creep has helped shorten games. But if you look at Dota Roll, it's still a very long game, and as a spectator thing to watch, long games are very tense, but sometimes they're not as much fun to watch. This is purely from a spectating point of view. And I don't know if having longer games, if you're going to poke and prod, you said you're not strong enough, you're not strong enough to hit the tower a couple times, or you're winning by enough that you will be able to kill the tower. having that uncertainty means you're going to stay back and farm more and get more map control. And I don't know if that's the best way to approach Dota from a viewing experience. And yeah, you could say, hardcore players, they do have to adjust with the times. They might like the longer games because it's a lot less room for error. But I don't know. I just don't like pushing into a base when you have to full commit as a spectating point of view when you're not certain and then the other team wipes. I think with this patch, if it's difficult to push, they should have adjusted teamfight gold a little bit, maybe reduce by a certain amount.
Sure. I mean, things like teamfight gold might get touched on again, like on a B patch, right? 6.87B, although it doesn't seem like it too much for now. Yeah, I do agree with most of the things you say. At least my favorite things so far in this patch is obviously the introduction of the new items, and I think Vanguard, especially Abyssal Blade, we have to wrap our brains around a bit, because yesterday, at least when I was looking at the item, I was comparing it to Scythe of Ice. It's fairly similar now. Like, you just get the item for disable as opposed to you used to get it as a damage item. So I really like new item changes. I dislike Lich. Hope that gets patched soon. But for the most part, I'm just looking forward to play more games.
Yeah, I think like this patch, it didn't really trash too many heroes besides maybe Death Prophet. I think Invoker's still decent mid-game to late game. Spectre's still going to be very strong.
That's pretty trash, in my opinion.
Yeah, and all the items don't seem too overpowered. I mean, who knows, Infuser Raindrop and the Windlace could be too strong, but
right.
All the items, all the heroes seem to be reasonably balanced. There's no Glimmer Cape that we saw. There's no early, 0-second cooldown blink when you're damaged. Nothing seems too broken.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun to test.
I mean, my opinion is that Windlace is broken. My opinion is that Infused Droplet is broken.
Yeah, but Windlace, it might be the item that everybody builds. Like Magic Wand, everybody builds it, but it's good for the game because you have more mana to burst people down, take more fights.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
Like, would you say Magic Wand would be built in every game? Pretty much.
Although we are seeing people moving away from that, right? Sometimes you don't even see Magic Wands anymore. So, there you go. All right, that's going to do it for our patch analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a great time chatting with Bballin. Where can they find you?
Bballin773 on Twitter. I haven't posted a video in 2 years. I don't know when I'll post a video. Maybe sometime eventually. But I'm Bballin773 on YouTube as well.
All right. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, you can find me at LuminousInverse on Twitter and I guess everywhere else on the interwebs. We are done. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, he is Bballin. I am Luminous, and we are signing off.